This is a Dark Illumination Report Extra with RJ Womack.
Hey everybody, thanks for joining me. This is RJ Womack, aka Brother Nero, and this is the Dark Illumination Report podcast, the podcast where we put the focus on Satan and demons rather than the individual. And we also try to help our fellow Satanists by giving them advice and tips that will help them improve their lives. Today I'm going to get into a topic that I think is important. It was brought up to me just this morning or the day before yesterday, and I thought it was so important that I decided to talk about it first before I go into other subjects that I had planned. And that was the subject of joining satanic covens or satanic groups. Is it worth it? Is it important? And I would say that it is important, and it can be beneficial if you find the right group. But unfortunately, in Satanism today, we have many groups that are cults of personality. They're not truly satanic groups. They're not focused on the religious worship of Satan. They're focused on promoting the leader of the group, or the leader of the group uses the group to promote themselves or uses it for their own pleasure or their own benefits, things that benefits them. So there are very few actual satanic groups that provide satanic learning and satanic ministry. And so there's not many groups to recommend. And you have to be careful, because what usually happens with a lot of these satanic groups is they start out with good intentions, or at least they appear to start out with good intentions. You never can tell, because the leaders might have other motivations from the very beginning, but usually they start out with good intentions, and the leaders tend to be very charismatic. They tend to be very friendly. And eventually they turn into cults where the group is all about doing what the leader wants. And it's all about kind of worshiping the leader rather than Satan. And that's one of the problems with groups like this. So what I recommend to people is always judge what people do, not what they say. Judge how they behave. And before you get deeply involved in a group, make sure what they're actually teaching you is satanic. Make sure that their motivations are promoting Satanism and the worship of Satan and demons, and it's not focused on what they want or what they think. It's actually focused on satanic principles. The other thing you'll find with a lot of these groups is some of them will get downright cult-like, in the sense that they'll become like a Jim Jones sort of People's Temple sort of thing, and it becomes the teachings that they teach are what the leader believes. It's not based on satanic philosophy. And then you'll start having people say stuff like, well, if you don't agree with me and you don't do what I say, then you're not a Satanist. And you have to worry about that kind of stuff. And that's why I don't recommend satanic covens. But when I said that in the book, that I said, you should join a satanic group, that was based on the assumption that you could find a group that was teaching satanic principles. What I recommend, like I said, to people is that you make sure they're teaching satanic principles. You make sure that if they take money from you, or if they ask for membership fees, you make sure that that money's going to actual satanic activities. In other words, if they raise money from you, make sure they're using that money for stuff that actually has to do with Satanism. What you'll find with a lot of these groups and a lot of their leaders is that it'll go to fund their personal lifestyle. It'll go to fund things for their family, for their children, for them, not Satanism. In fact, you'll find that very little of the money actually goes to promoting religious Satanism. And the way you avoid that is, if you can, try to get involved with groups that are legally established. They're either limited companies or LLCs, and make sure they give you a financial report at least every quarter, every 3 months, or every month, showing you what they do with the money. Legitimate satanic organizations that are about Satanism, and if they're legal, won't have a problem with this. If they start getting sketchy and they don't want to tell you how they're spending their money, if they don't want to show you their financial statements, if they don't have their bank account set up in such a way where it takes at least 2 to 3 signatures for them to withdraw money, and it's only the leader that has the bank account numbers, watch out. That's an indication that you're dealing with a satanic group that has other motives besides Satanism. And again, I know that a lot of satanic groups are not legally established, and that doesn't necessarily mean they're bad. Most groups are not legally established. They're not LLCs. They're not legitimate companies. They're just groups of people that get together and do Satanism. So just because they're not legally established doesn't mean that they're not serious about their Satanism, or it doesn't mean they're up to something. But you really do have to keep your eye on them, because if the leaders have different standards for you than they do for themselves, that's when you know you're in trouble. That's when you know you need to watch out. Another thing you'll find in groups like this is that the leaders will have a different standard for you than they do for themselves. Like they'll tell you to make sacrifices for the religion or for the group, but they won't make sacrifices. They'll tell you, oh, give us money, make sacrifices for yourself. You don't go out and eat. You don't do what you want to do, but they're still going out to eat. They're still spending money on themselves. They're still spending money on their kids, but you'll find the members giving them money and kind of cutting back on what they want to do and sacrificing their personal will and their personal desires, but yet the leaders are not. How do I know this? Because I've seen it happen. I've seen it happen many times. And this stuff happens all the time. And unfortunately, Satanism is getting more and more of these types of groups, and it's getting more cult-like every day. So you have to really watch out. People that are truly practicing satanic philosophy will not take your personal freedom away. They will not tell you not to do things while they're doing things. They will not tell you to sacrifice things in your life while they're living freely and doing whatever they want. And they will not tell you that if you do not agree with them and you do not do everything they say and you do not follow them blindly, that you are not a Satanist. Satanists don't talk this way. Cult leaders talk this way. So if you come across someone who teaches you this, who tells you you're not a Satanist because you don't follow their orders blindly, and that if you're questioning them, that you're not a Satanist, get the hell out of that group as fast as you can. Get away from it. Get away from that person. Don't listen to them. Don't be a part of what they do. Always check and see that the group you're involved with is a legitimate satanic group and they're teaching satanic principles. As long as they are, everything should be fine. And if you can find a group like that that teaches satanic principles, that follows satanic philosophy and puts Satan first and the worship of Satan and the demons first before the worship of the leader, then you can have a positive experience that will be life-changing. There's nothing better than having people who share a common belief, that have a sense of brotherhood and loyalty to each other and a loyalty to the gods. There's nothing better than that. And if you happen to be fortunate enough to have an experience like that, then it will be great. And you'll have an experience like you've never had before. But if, on the other hand, you get involved in one of these cults of personality, that's when the problems arise. So just be careful. And a lot of people will probably say, Nero's bad-mouthing satanic groups again, and he's bad-mouthing satanic leaders, and he's putting people down and their different beliefs. No, I'm not. I'm trying to prevent my fellow Satanists, especially young Satanists, especially people that are new to Satanism, from being taken advantage of. I'm trying to prevent people from having their religion used against them and used to manipulate them. I don't want to see you taken advantage of. I don't want to see you abused. I don't want to see my fellow Satanists be treated badly in the name of Satan. And that's what I'm trying to prevent. And by the way, before I go, that'll be it for today. But before I go, I just want to say thank you to everybody who's given me positive comments and who's told me how much the show means to them. It really matters to me that you guys are listening. It matters to me that you have a positive opinion of this show. This show is first and foremost about ministry. It's about bringing back a religious approach to Satanism, a devotional approach to Satanism. It's about trying to be real priesthood and trying to help people. One of the reasons I restarted this show was because I realized I wasn't keeping my commitment to Satan. I wasn't doing what I promised Satan I would do. I wasn't being a minister. And I realized there are a lot of religious Satanists out there who don't have a minister, who don't have a church they can go to. They live in a place where they have no one, where they have no one they can talk to about their beliefs. So I want to encourage you guys to contact me, to write me, to come on the website, email me if you need help, email me if you need a minister, because that's what I am. That's what I committed to do. That's what I promised Satan I would do. And I will try to help you as best I can. I want to use this show as ministry to help as many of you as I can. And let me just say something else about satanic clergy. A member of the satanic priesthood should not be treating you like they're the be all and end all, like they're the egotistical maniac on top of the pile, on top of the hill, the king of the mountain sort of thing. They should never treat you that way. They should be more like a mentor, a shaman, a Sherpa, if you will. And they should be that wise kind of uncle or aunt or brother or sister that guides you and gives you advice based on their experience. Because it is Satan that gave you the freedom to be who you are and who you're supposed to be. It is Satan that gave you free will and self-autonomy and self-awareness. And no Satanist, regardless of who they are, regardless of what tradition they practice, has the right to dictate to you what a Satanist should be. Now, they can give you advice on what good Satanists should do or how they should practice, but they shouldn't be sitting there telling you, you absolutely must follow this path the way that I say, because the minute they do, they are taking away, or they're trying to take away, your personal freedom and your personal autonomy. And they don't have the right to do that because Satan gave you that. The only person that can judge you and judge your service to Satan is Satan and the demons. They're the only entities that can do that. No priesthood has the right to do that. They should be your guides. They should be your helpers. They should be your mentors, but they should not dictate to you what the rules should be for your practices and your approach to Satanism. If they do, they're not real Satanists. So as I said, if you don't have a minister, if you don't have a organization that you're a part of, just consider this show your temple. And I will help minister to you, and I will give you the best advice I can, and I will help you in whatever way I can. That's what I promised Satan I would do. That's what I intend to do. And I hope I can help you in whatever way I can. Until next time, guys, may Satan be with you. Take care of yourselves. And remember to always remember Satan, always remember the demons, and don't let anyone else tell you what Satanism is supposed to be other than Satan and his demons. And don't let anybody take advantage of you. Take care, guys. Till next time. Later.
Thank you for listening to the Dark Illumination Report podcast. For the latest news headlines, show information, and more, go to rjwomack.com. That's rjwomack.com.